Hey there, gamers! Today, I decided to put together a list of the most beautiful open-world games I've played not so long ago. And yeah, the key thing here, the world has to be really beautiful. Sometimes it's thanks to mods, and sometimes the games are just so good looking on their own that they don't even need any mods at all. So, let's not drag out this intro and jump right in. Assassin's Creed Unity. In the last video, we talked about Assassin's Creed Black Flag, basically the final game on the old engine. After that, the real next-gen hit, Unity. The launch, though, was, well, let's be honest, pretty bad. Tons of bugs, broken optimization. It really ruined the first impression for a lot of people. But right now, the game's in a solid state and you can easily enjoy it. The real cherry on top, just like in every Assassin's Creed, is the historical setting. Here it's 18th century France, more specifically, Paris. And without exaggeration, this is one of the most stunning cities ever created in a video game. Ubisoft really nailed it. Huge cathedrals, narrow alleys, gorgeous palaces, crowds of people. All of this makes Unity one of the most atmospheric entries in the whole series. And of course, the real star here is Notre Dame. The cathedral is so detailed that its 3D model was even used for the actual restoration after the fire back in 2019. But it's not just that. There are countless spots in the game where you just want to wander around for hours admiring the architecture. Paris in the daytime shines with sunlight bouncing off rooftops, and at night the city glows with lanterns, candles, and moonlight. Add in the crowds, the markets, the street musicians, and the world feels truly alive. This is one of those rare times when the city itself isn't just a background, it feels like a full-on character. And even though the original game still looks amazing after 11 years, if you throw in some texture mods, improved shadows, and better lighting, Paris becomes almost photorealistic. Horizon Zero Dawn. If you've ever wanted to explore a world set after the apocalypse, where nature takes back everything from humans, this game is perfect. I've already talked about the sequel before, so yeah, it'd be weird not to include the first one, which is also incredibly beautiful. This is a game where ruins of the old world are covered in greenery, snowy mountains sparkle in the sun, and golden fields stretch all the way to the horizon. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Both Horizon games are easily the best-looking post-apocalyptic titles out there. The sunsets? Absolutely mind-blowing. When the sun drops behind the horizon, lighting up the sky in bright orange and red, you just have to stop and grab a screenshot. At night, the sky is packed with stars, the moon throws soft light, and even those robotic creatures don't look as scary. The world is split into regions, each with its own beauty. Lush valleys with swaying grass and leaves, snowy peaks where every snowflake sparkles, or hot deserts where the sand shimmers and mirages trick your eyes. Say what you want, but ever since Killzone 2, Guerrilla Games has been making pure eye candy. Horizon Zero Dawn is that perfect balance between natural beauty and a futuristic machine world. If you love epic landscapes, insane sunsets, and strong visual vibes, you have to try it. Ghost of Tsushima. Another PlayStation Studios title, now also on PC. For me, one of the most beautiful games ever, throwing you straight into feudal Japan with an open world that just takes your breath away. Now, technically, it's not some crazy graphics benchmark. If you look too closely at some textures, they kind of feel plastic. But what really sells it is the art direction and the insane work of the artists. You don't need heavy mods here, the base game already looks amazing. From the very first minutes, forests, fields, mountains, temples, tiny villages, all built with so much love for detail, you feel like you've stepped right into a painting. The big thing here is nature itself. Everything is alive. The wind bends the grass, flower petals fall, the scenery changes with every step. The island is huge and every region feels different. Swamps in one area, snowy lands in the north, and massive battlefields where samurais clash with Mongols. On top of that, there are those magical weather and light effects. Clouds rolling in, sun rays cutting through the trees, sudden rain changing the mood completely. And man, the animations. Watching Jin ride through fields with his clothes and armor moving in the wind, it's so organic you almost forget it's just a video game. Ghost of Tsushima isn't just a game, it's a visual symphony. If you love art and stunning open world, this one will leave you speechless. Even though Nintendo's consoles aren't exactly power monsters, they still manage to deliver some of the most beautiful open world experiences. And of course, I'm talking about Zelda. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I won't separate them because both are stunning. And yeah, Zelda isn't about pushing polygons or crazy tech. It's about art design, about how the right color in the sky makes a scene unforgettable. You don't need hyper-realism here. The game strips away most of the interface, and it's just you, the wind in the grass, the clouds drifting, and the horizon calling. No forced paths, just freedom and landscapes that you'd honestly want to print out and hang on your wall. Every morning in the game feels like a breath of fresh air. Sunlight through the leaves, raindrops on rocks, rainbows after a storm. Pure beauty. Even storms feel like music. Dark skies, thunder rolling, lightning flashing, and it's all part of the living world, not scripted. And then Tears of the Kingdom takes it even further. You're not just walking across the land, you're flying above it, like in a dream. Floating islands glowing in golden light, and deep underground, a whole other world, dark and mysterious. All this running flawlessly on a little Switch, a console weaker than most modern smartphones. And yet, visually, it feels like a living painting. Sometimes you're just walking in the forest, then stop. Because the way the sunlight hits a tree is so perfect, you feel guilty for just running past it. Zelda feels like a childhood dream painted with watercolors. Soft, atmospheric, and absolutely magical. Hogwarts Legacy. If you ever dreamed of walking around Hogwarts and its surroundings, but never had the chance, this game is your wish come true, and in the most luxurious way possible. The world here isn't just big, it's magical, literally. Hogwarts Legacy is the ultimate game for any Harry Potter fan. Probably the best adaptation so far, even though the story takes place long before the books. The first thing that blows you away is the castle itself. Huge, detailed, endless corridors, secret passages, moving paintings, enchanted ceilings. Walking into the Great Hall during dinner feels like stepping straight into the movies. But it's not just the castle. There's Hogsmeade, the cozy wizarding village. Narrow streets, smoke rising from chimneys, shops selling butterbeer and wands. Then there's the Forbidden Forest, a place you're always a bit nervous to enter, especially at night. What really makes the magic, though, are the details. The castle shifts with time of day. Candles glowing warmly at night, sunlight shining through stained glass by day. Autumn here is straight-up art, falling leaves swirling in the wind, golden treetops glowing at sunset. Winter? Pure fairy tale, and snow on rooftops, frosty breath, icy branches glittering. Hogwarts Legacy is basically the dream game for anyone who wants to not just play, but actually live in the Harry Potter world. Though, yeah, it's mostly going to hit hardest for true fans of the original. The Division 1 and 2 aren't just shooters about spec ops and viruses. If you look at them from the angle of open world beauty, they're games where every street is a story, how the beautiful can be destroyed, and the destroyed can still stay beautiful. Yeah, I threw 2 games in one spot again, to save some time for me and not waste yours. Both parts take place in different cities, and each is gorgeous in its own way. In the first game, Winter New York looks amazing, probably one of the best versions of the city in games. You walk through Manhattan, empty streets, signs swaying in the wind, snow crunching under your boots, and silence that almost freezes your heart. By day, it blinds you with whiteness, and at night, streetlights glow on wet asphalt like in a noir movie. In the second game, it's hot. Washington, D.C. winter switched to summer, but the end-of-the-world vibe stayed. Grass grows through cracks, dust floats in the air, the city looks like it gave up. Everything's overgrown, rusty, fading away, yet there's a certain romance to it, kind of like The Last of Us. You walk past federal buildings, abandoned museums, ruined blocks, and every frame feels like art. Yeah, it's a shooter, but sometimes you just want to put the gun away and take photos. Especially at sunset, when light cuts through dust, leaves sway and birds fly above the ruins. The Division feels like a dead metropolis in golden hour. Sad, huge, and beautiful. Forza Horizon 5. In the last video I called Part 4 the most beautiful in the series. And yeah, I still stand by that. But the fifth one has its own charm too. Instead of British landscapes, we get Mexico. So here you've got jungles with waterfalls, vines hanging right over the road, deserts with cactuses where sand hits your face at 300 kilometers an hour, and that smoking volcano that feels hot even through the screen. Cities like Guanajuato, its colorful cobblestone streets. And the coast, beaches with palm trees and sunsets that make you scream, "I need a vacation." The world is huge and dynamic. Rain floods the roads, sandstorms kill visibility, and it all changes how you play. Gameplay's simple. It's an open-world racing festival. Hundreds of cars, from buggies to hypercars. You can blast down highways, cut through fields, or even jump straight across a river. The Horizon Festival gives you tons of races, stunts, side hunts like finding barns with rare rides. Physics is right in the sweet spot. Arcade fun with a touch of realism. Yeah, you can smash into a tree, but it's still fun. Details, reflections, lighting, all top tier. And optimization? Solid as a rock. Literally a perfect example of how games should be optimized. Forza Horizon 5 is like a vacation on wheels. So pretty and addictive, you'll forget about the real world. Totally recommend it if you love cars and open worlds, where every corner feels like a painting. Fallout 4. Bethesda games are made for two things: memes and mods. And Fallout 4? Best with graphic mods. Boston in the base game already looked fine. Rusty cars, ruined houses, ghost towns, nature slowly taking back the land. But once you throw in mods, it's like a new game. Feels like upgrading old film to 4K HDR. Forests go lush, water turns crystal clear, skies get rich colors. Lighting mods make sunsets insane. Orange rays cutting through trees, everything soft and almost cozy. Well, but if you ignore the super mutants around the corner, nights in the city look amazing too. Neon signs glowing, windows retextured, Diamond City shining like a real capital of the wasteland. Lights, smoke, radio music in the background. You stand on a rooftop looking down and think, yeah, the world burned, but it's still beautiful. And nature mods? They turn Fallout into something like The Last of Us. Vines, trees, flowers growing through ruins, lit by sunbeams. So if you want post-apocalypse vibes with hundreds of hours of playtime, and even more with mods, Fallout 4 is a must. No Man's Sky. Who would think a survival game with such a rough start would end up with one of the most beautiful worlds in gaming? Well, worlds, billions of them. Each could be a wallpaper. Unlike Starfield, here you take off, and a few seconds later, you're in space. No loading screens, just you, the stars, and that soundtrack giving chills. Land on a new planet, jump systems, do whatever. Each world is like a lottery. One might be a dusty wasteland with acid skies and ash rain. Another, a paradise with purple trees, clear lakes, and creatures that look like Pokemon after a night out. Landscapes aren't just procedural, they're stunning, especially at sunrise when light paints the ground like an artist on canvas. Add massive space stations, frigates, base building anywhere, and endless planet styles, from futuristic to trippy psychedelic, and you've got a game with visual variety like nothing else. And updates keep rolling in. New biomes, better lighting, photoreal textures. Sometimes you just stop and think, is this a game? Or art from ArtStation? No Man's Sky isn't just a game, it's a whole universe. And graphics here? One of its brightest stars. Far Cry 5. For me, not just the most atmospheric Far Cry, but also the most beautiful. Yeah, even compared to the more advanced 6. Of course, it's a matter of taste. Some love the green tropics of Part 3, others prefer Kyrat from Part 4. But me? I fell in love with small-town America in Part 5. The game takes place in Hope County, Montana. Mountains, rivers, forests, simple but stunning. And if you, like me, grew up watching shows and movies set in these places, you probably dreamed of driving a pickup, blasting classic rock, cruising down those back roads. Here, you can. Nature looks gorgeous, and there are plenty of ways to explore it. Old trucks, boats, even planes and helicopters, first time in the series, or just chill with fishing. Even outposts feel real, like actual local buildings, not random sets. And the music? Man, the soundtrack hit me right in the heart. Some tracks even stayed in my playlist after finishing the game. So yeah, if you vibe with small-town America, want a crazy cult story, and love breathtaking scenery in all kinds of weather, Far Cry 5 is a must-play. Next up, Cyberpunk 2077. A game that, despite a truly awful launch, has turned into something way more impressive over time. With every single update and every new mod, it just keeps getting more spectacular. Sometimes when you're watching modded footage of Cyberpunk, you really get that feeling like, wait, is this real life or just a video game? And honestly, even without mods, it still looks great. What's kind of funny is that the game actually dropped 5 whole years ago. Time flies like crazy, right? And yet it's still a benchmark for most new GPUs, especially the ones from Nvidia. But the real magic of the game? That's the city. Night City. During the day, the sunlight shows off the architecture, all those skyscrapers in their full glory. But at night, Night City transforms into this neon wonderland, where literally every single corner looks like a shot from a movie. And just like with GTA, if you start experimenting with mods, you can turn this game into a straight-up masterpiece. Some people go for ultra-detailed textures and high resolution. Others tweak the color grading or the lighting to match their own taste. Or maybe crank up the reflections, even though the game already has plenty of them. Cyberpunk plus mods. It's like the ultimate creative sandbox. You can lose track of time messing with it. Put all of that together, and Cyberpunk easily becomes a true visual work of art. Totally worthy of being on a list of the most beautiful open worlds in recent years. Mafia Definitive Edition. A remake that was supposed to just refresh a classic, but instead it gave us one of the most stunning cities ever made in gaming. Lost Heaven here isn't just a backdrop, it feels like a living, breathing city straight out of the 1930s. Narrow streets with wet asphalt, old neon signs, brick buildings with fire escapes, yellow cabs, and cars with headlights shining like they're passing through real glass. And then there's the rain. Man, rain in this game is pure magic. Droplets sliding down the car, puddles reflecting the streetlights, clothes soaking wet. Sometimes you're just driving around at night, and you realize you haven't been doing missions for a while. You're just vibing with the atmosphere. That's the key word here, is atmosphere. Everything from the architecture to the lighting feels crafted with heart. Each district is unique. There's a foggy port with sirens, a fancy downtown with marble columns and cafes, or dusty outskirts with bars and dirt roads. It's authentic and ridiculously beautiful. Even the cutscenes aren't just cutscenes. They're full-on cinematic moments with amazing direction and lighting. Sometimes you forget you're playing a game. It feels like you're watching a high-budget TV series. And yeah, the open world here isn't the Ubisoft style. No endless side missions or busy work. Instead, it's the kind of world you actually want to explore. You don't look at the map to find 100 markers. You just look at the sunset and think, yeah, I want to drive over there. If there's one game where you just want to stand still and stare at the landscape, it's Death Stranding. Now, it's kind of a controversial pick for this list, but for me personally, its open world wasn't just unusual. It was straight up beautiful in its own way. The genius of Hideo Kojima is that he showed how even walking through wastelands can feel fascinating. If the world around you is that breathtaking, mist-covered mountains, endless green hills, rocky cliffs, and rivers with crystal clear water. The world of Death Stranding feels like Iceland, but somehow even more surreal and more stunning than reality. You can literally feel the wind, hear raindrops, meaning or timefall drops, qualities hitting the ground. Watch the sunrise paint the clouds bright red. The water physics, the animation, the crazy lighting system, all of it makes the immersion feel so real. Nights are pitch black. The starry sky is mind-blowing. When the rain comes, puddles slowly fill up and reflect the world. And during a storm, everything turns into total chaos. The graphics are top tier already, yeah, but if you add mods like ray tracing, 4K textures, and upgraded shadows, the landscapes get even more insane. And listen, if you're playing on an OLED monitor or TV, those night walks, absolute visual bliss. Death Stranding is a meditative journey. The world isn't just pretty, it's mesmerizing. Even if you don't vibe with the story or the gameplay, the visuals alone are unforgettable. Now, here's a surprising one for this video. SnowRunner. Honestly, most people wouldn't expect to see it here. And yeah, on the surface, it might sound like just a simulator about driving heavy trucks through mud and rough terrain. But trust me, it's way more than that. SnowRunner is the perfect example of a game where the devs went all in. Not only on insanely realistic vehicle physics, but also on the worlds themselves. And there are a lot of them. You've got winter, spring, autumn, summer maps, forests, mountains, rivers, small towns, and rural villages. And all of it looks amazing. Then add the dynamic weather plus the day and night cycle. And suddenly every place feels totally different depending on when you're there. Maybe it's a gorgeous sunset, a chilly morning fog, or a rainy, muddy night. And because it's still a driving simulator at its core, every single truck is insanely detailed, inside and out. The cabin view is just as good. Every speedometer, every gear shift, even a dirty windshield, it all adds to the immersion. Watching a heavy truck fight its way through mud, with the suspension bouncing and the wheels spinning, is pure eye candy. SnowRunner is one of those games that looks like just another driving sim from the outside. But once you start playing, it hooks you for hours. If you skipped it, I strongly recommend giving it a shot. And finally, Marvel's Spider-Man. We can't really talk about open-world superhero games without mentioning the Insomniac game Spider-Man series. And yeah, I'm putting all three games together. The first one, the Miles Morales spin-off, and Part 2. Because they all share the same core setting, New York City, and each one feels unique in its own vibe. The first game nails that autumn mood with its warm colors and slightly melancholic tone. The Miles Morales spin-off? Pure winter holiday vibes, snowy streets, Christmas lights, cozy atmosphere. And Part 2 feels like summer in the city, with golden sunsets and bright skies. But the real highlight here? Movement. Swinging through the city isn't just fast, it's cinematic. The new glider mechanic, the smoother animations, those quick web zips, they make traversal feel like pure art. This is probably one of the few open-world games where fast travel exists, but almost nobody uses it, because swinging is just that much fun. And of course, the city itself. New York here is basically a love letter. Skyscrapers glowing in the sun, Central Park full of rustling leaves, sunsets over the Hudson River that look like paintings. And in Part 2, they added even more regions like Brooklyn and Queens. It's no longer just Manhattan. It's a full-on metropolis, alive in every corner. Graffiti on the walls, street performers in the parks. The whole place feels real. Sometimes it even feels like the city was made for fall and winter. And Insomniac nailed that vibe perfectly. Highly recommend this one if you want an open world where every jump from a skyscraper feels like a screenshot for your desktop wallpaper.